For the best experience, put on headphones and write a comment, where you are from and what time you are watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Every old house is bound to have rats, right? That was my assumption when I bought an old house the year I graduated from college. It was a surprising find. A spacious 2-story house with several bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and amenities that felt like a luxury after my cramped college dorm. The price was remarkably low for such a grand structure, and the house's location, though isolated, had its own charm. The quiet, once a selling point, soon became a source of discomfort. The house was nestled in the middle of nowhere, far from the bustling city life I was used to. The transition from the constant hum of urban noise to the eerie stillness of the countryside was jarring. The silence at night was overwhelming, almost oppressive. I found it so unsettling that I ended up throwing out my old wall clock because its ticking, once a minor annoyance, became an unbearable sound in the stillness. I convinced myself that the strange noises I heard were just the house settling or the wind rustling branches against the window. I refused to admit even to myself that the sounds unnerved me. Naturally, a house in the woods would have its share of vermin. I expected rats, but not in the numbers I encountered. The first sign of trouble came when I opened a cupboard to find 3 large rats glaring at me with their beady eyes. From then on, rats seemed to be everywhere, scurrying in the basement, making noise on the porch steps, and even showing up in my bedroom. I bought rat traps, which seemed to help for a while. I also got a cat from a Walmart parking lot, a small, shaggy creature I named Tom. Tom proved to be quite effective at catching rats, and soon, I didn't need to buy traps anymore. Despite not being much of an animal lover, I started to bond with Tom. The rat problem seemed under control, but the mysterious noises persisted. The noises would come and go, but I always had an excuse. If I heard scratching, I told myself Tom must have missed a rat. If something scraped against the window, I assumed it was a branch. Even when I thought I heard movement in the basement, I convinced myself Tom was just exploring. There was always an explanation, usually involving the rats. Eventually, Tom stopped bringing dead rats to the doorstep. I patted him on the head, telling him he was just unlucky. I avoided thinking that he might have killed them all. It would have made the noises harder to ignore. It all started to go awry one night when Tom, who had never shown any interest in going outside after dark, began scratching at the door. I let him out, assuming he had seen a rat or something similar. Shortly after Tom went outside, I heard a continuous, sharp scraping sound against the window. It was unsettling, almost like fingernails on a chalkboard. I tried to ignore it, but the noise persisted. Finally, I got up to see what was causing it. What I saw outside was something I wish I had never witnessed. A figure had its face pressed against the glass. The sight was brief, but etched into my memory forever. Its face was long and bone-white, with no eyes, but a red light seemed to burn deep within the eye sockets. Black veins crisscrossed its head, and the rest of its body was covered in thick black fur. Then it was gone. The encounter left me in a state of shock. The creature's presence was made even more unsettling by the fact that my room was on the 2nd floor. The stench of the creature filled the room. Sour and putrid, it was almost unbearable. I backed away from the window, my hands pressed to my nose, my legs trembling uncontrollably. I spent the rest of the night locked in the bathroom, clutching a knife, doubting my own sanity. When morning came, I gathered the courage to go outside and call for Tom. It didn't take long to find him, but I won't go into the grisly details of what I discovered. I wanted to bury him, but the lingering smell of the creature made it impossible. I was filled with rage and fear. This creature had taken Tom and shattered any hope of safety in my new home. In my desperation, I went to the police, although I didn't expect much help. Their response was infuriatingly dismissive. They suggested I sell the house if I didn't like it. Furious, I decided to follow their advice. That night, I planned to put the house on the market and let someone else deal with this nightmare. However, I never made it home. As I drove up my driveway, I saw the creature crouched there. Its massive clawed hands and long, curved claws were clearly visible in the daylight. The creature seemed to look right at me, its head tilted in what appeared to be a smirk. Terrified, I put my car in reverse and fled. The creature let out a loud, almost inhuman scream as I drove away. I never returned to that house. I bought a new place just outside of town, which wasn't as quiet but felt safer. Though I occasionally hear strange noises, I try to ignore them. I found a new cat, friendlier than Tom, and I work nights to avoid the darkness. The old house is now a distant memory, but sometimes the sounds of scraping and scratching still echo in my mind. After all, there are bound to be rats in every old house.